Merry Meet. I'm so happy that you've joined me today. Today we are working a psalm spell, and we are working on Psalm number 15. Now, traditionally, Psalm 15 is used if you want to overcome an evil influence, or if you are wanting to overcome any kind of resentments. And a lot of times those things are kind of bunched up together. A lot of the evil influences that we have in our lives are a result of our own resentments. So we can do either or both together with this one. And the way that we work a psalm spell is very simple. We read the psalm out loud all the way through once without stopping. And then we go back through the psalm and we take it line by line or verse by verse, sometimes even word by word, and find hidden meanings that are in the psalm. And we search for those hidden meanings, and we work hard at it if we need to. And through that hard work, that searching and then contemplating of those inner meanings, we plant those thoughts as seeds deep into our mind. Think of the deep mind as like the fertile earth of the goddess. And those seeds then take root and they grow and they bear fruit after their kind. And you start to see the results in your life. So the way that you do that is you keep coming back to this psalm again and again until you see definite movement in the right direction. All right? And so that's what we're going to do now. And so here we go with Psalm 15. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is contemned, but he honoureth them that feareth the Lord. He that sweareth to his hurt and changeth not. He that putteth not out his money to usury, nor taketh reward against the innocent. He that doeth these things shall never be moved. All right, so now let's just go through this psalm and do the magic. All right, so you might want to think about those resentments that you might have that you're wanting to let go, or whatever the evil influence that you're wanting to dispel, and we will apply it to that. So, Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? So the first thing we're doing is addressing this character called the Lord. So who's the Lord? We got to figure that out first before we can go any further. The Lord of the Psalms, when we're dealing with them magically, is not a religious symbol for us. The Lord is the one power of the universe. Think of the Force in Star Wars. That might give you a better idea about what we're talking about. He's not a deity, not a separate entity, not male or female. This is pre-gender, and you can think of this as the life principle. So that which is beating your heart right now. And the Lord has all kinds of qualities that you can know the Lord by. This force is infinite love, pure power, all power. There's nothing to thwart it because there is none other. It's all present. There is no spot where God is not. There is it's infinite truth, divine beauty, infinite love, all these qualities. There's more and more and more. We can talk about them all day long. But that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the Lord. We're not talking about a deity. Okay, so who shall abide in thy tabernacle? What is the tabernacle that we're talking about? The tabernacle is the place in our mind that is most exalted. That is the place where we are at one with this power. We are at one with that which created us. Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? We're asking, right? What's the holy hill? That exalted part of our mind. So who's supposed to be there? Who's supposed to be dwelling there? We're asking the Lord. And this is a rhetorical question, because then we answer ourselves. He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. So when we're talking about who, we're talking about which thoughts, which thought forms are worthy of the tabernacle, that won't defile the tabernacle. So the thought forms are those that make us to walk uprightly. Those which bring us poise, those which we know who we are. We don't have false modesty. We don't have any kind of false sense of self-deprecation. We know that we are divine child. We are divine children of the Most High. So we are royal. We are royalty. There is a royal family of which we are all a part. Worketh righteousness. To work righteousness for us is working magic righteously, meaning that we are taking care of our own minds. We are taking care of the work in the world that we have, and the work within our minds is all being led and directed by our own higher selves, by our own inner guidance. So we are always working righteously. Speaketh truth in our heart. That means that we don't allow ourselves to dwell within lies. How do you dwell within a lie? Well, a lot of people think that a lie just means that you're not saying the truth, because you're trying to deceive someone. Well, that's true, but a lot of the times we don't even realize we're doing that. Anytime you think that you're less than, anytime that you think that you're a problem, anytime that you feel bad about yourself, you are lying to yourself. Now, you may have done things in the past that are bad. You may have done things that you don't feel good about, but you have to understand that that does not change your essential nature, okay? So that is what that means. Speaketh truth in his heart, always. And that is true not only about yourself, but how you feel about others, even really bad people, people that we think are really bad. Righteousness in the heart is saying, yeah, but they're just equally divine as I am. They're not less divine just because their personalities are showing bad behavior. I am not going to be deceived by their bad behavior. I see them as they really are. So that includes people that you don't know, like people in politics and things like that, okay? He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor. Okay, so backbiting with your tongue, how are you using your words? How are you using your words? The part of you that is worthy of being in the tabernacle is those thought forms that only use the words to their best use. And if you notice that you're using your words to say bad things about yourself or bad things about other people, or expecting the worst, or whatever you're doing with your words that's not obviously God's will, then it's time for you to notice that and change that, because that takes you out of that tabernacle. Nor doeth evil to his neighbor. Well, doing evil to our neighbor, it's not even so much the doing evil to our neighbor, but the thoughts about doing evil to our neighbor. Yeah, because a lot of us don't go around and, beat people up and steal things and burn people's houses up and things like that. Most of us don't do evil to our neighbor like that, but we may think it. We may think that they're not as good as we are. We may think that they're so bad that they deserve whatever. And that's what we have to be careful of, is how we're using our minds. In whose eyes a vile person is contemned, but he honoreth them that fear the Lord. So a vile person is contemned. So a vile person in this regard is not, well, you can think about how you look at other people. So if there's somebody whose behavior is really vile, so we're condemning the behavior, but not condemning the person, is what this is talking about. It's like that Christian thought of you hate the sin, but not the sinner. There is some wisdom in that, even though they sometimes use that in kind of abusive ways. But that's not what we're doing here. We're looking at it magically, learning how to see that people's behavior and people's personalities are not necessarily reflecting the truth of who they are. But honoreth them that fear the Lord. So you want to honor all the thought forms within you that respect God. That's what you want to honor. It's not so much people. You don't know who you don't know who people are other than how you see them. The only way that you can understand who people are is by realizing that they are divine children of God, and and that's it. And that's all that you get to know about them. Now, like I said, we can protect ourselves from their behavior, but that doesn't mean that we condemn who they are in our heart. But we honor the thought forms in our own mind that have great respect for this power. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changeth not. So to swear to your own hurt is to acknowledge that things are bad. To acknowledge when things are bad, to acknowledge when there's a problem, to acknowledge when there's pain in your life, to acknowledge when there's sorrow, to acknowledge that, to not run away from it, to not do the wrong kind of Pollyanna-ishness, to pretend like it's not there, to pour a bunch of crystals on top of things and bury your pain inside of all the pretty crystals, but knowing that you've got a problem, but not changing your understanding of who you are in relationship to the Lord of the Psalms. That not only puts you back in the tabernacle, but when you're back in that tabernacle in your conscious mind, because you can't really leave the tabernacle, but your conscious mind can. But when you're back in that tabernacle in your conscious mind, then you're in a place to heal the problem. Right? So you acknowledge the problem, but you don't change because of not acknowledging it. So you don't acknowledge it and go, oh, now because of this, I'm just never going to blah, 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 and just, change who you are, change the way that you operate. You don't change because you acknowledge a problem. You don't succumb to the problem. You acknowledge the problem, and then you go back into that tabernacle to resolve it. Okay. He that putteth not out his money to usury. So that means that it's not just money. It's just not taking advantage of people is all that means. Usury is like payday loans and things like that, where you try to take advantage of somebody who's down. So we don't do that. Obviously, we're never going to do that. But we don't allow ourselves to do that to ourselves either. We don't kick ourselves when we're down. Okay. Nor taketh reward against the innocent. Not trying to, so if you look at this in more broad terms, these kinds of things that are being discussed in the psalm are types of self-will. They're a type of sorcery where it's like, oh, the only way I can get my needs met is to go take advantage of people. The only way I can get my needs met is to lie. The only way I can get my needs met is to go out and do things that I know are not so cool, right? We're looking at that now, and we're saying, I'm not going to succumb to any temptation towards self-will. I'm going to bring this back into the tabernacle of this psalm and let it be resolved there, rather than trying to take matters into my own hands, because then I know I'm going to get in trouble. Okay, and he that doeth these things shall never be moved. Okay, so you're never going to be moved. What does never be moved mean? That it's like none of these things move me means that you keep your poise, that you keep your dignity, that you keep grace as part of who you are. Does that make sense? So that no matter what problems you're confronted with, no matter what evil, no matter what resentment, no matter what it is that's before you, you're not going to allow it to change your mind about who you are and why you're here. Who you are is a divine child of infinite love. Why you're here is to do the work that is given you to do on behalf of this power. And anything else is a detour. Anything else is a distraction, and you're not going to go down those roads. All right, so this is a great psalm to use, and I hope that you use it frequently. Keep coming back to it until you see definite movement toward the resolution of whatever problem you're bringing to this psalm. This has been wonderful. I love working with you, and I cannot wait to work with you again. And until that time, blessed be.